Hello, my Clueless Queens. Welcome back to the Completely Clueless podcast. I am your host, Sarah Alice Liddy, and I have our Clueless captain, aka our residential therapist that I am exploiting, my partner, Olivia.
I'm not licensed.
Take everything we say today with a grain of salt. They will be licensed one day. I do believe in you, babe.
Speak to your doctor about everything.
Speak to your doctor. We're only giving advice. Mm-hmm. But you do give really great advice.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm happy. Oh, you're happy?
Yes.
Do you think you're going to yawn today?
I hope not. Oh, God.
And we have some other special guests with us. Petunia, you want to introduce yours?
This is Jeremy.
Olivia got these off the TikTok shop, and what are they called? Capybaras?
Capybaras.
Capybaras. Yeah. So they're here today. They're our little in-studio audience, and they're going to be helping you with all your clueless moments about relationships. So today is our first Clueless Column episode. I'm very excited to start doing this. You know, we've been doing Clueless Moments for the entirety of like the nearly 3 years we've been doing the podcast. Well, I've been doing the podcast. You've just been here supporting. Remember, I'm the star. I'm just kidding.
You are.
Oh, thank you. But I brought Olivia here because, as I said, I think a couple episodes ago, I think you just give really great advice. You are such a great listener. You have such great like world perspective. I mean, you are like training to be like somewhere in the psychological world. So we're happy you're here. And basically this episode every single month is going to be and center around like clueless moments of all the kind. I got a lot of stuff about relationships in the questionnaire that I asked you guys on Instagram. Thank you all for responding. You guys gave us some really great things to work with today. Like we got some tea to spill and to help you with. And we're also going to open up about some relationship clueless moments so that you guys don't feel alone in this. But we're hoping that this will be something that we can do every month and that you guys enjoy. I love watching podcasts where hosts tell other people's stories or responding to them, giving advice. So I wanted to bring that into Completely Clueless. So that's one update. Number two update is that you may hear some ads in my content now. I am poor. I am poor and I need money, even if it's like literally 50 cents. Like these ads, you guys do not really give me much money. It's not like I'm like, reading an ad yet. We're hoping that will come, but every penny counts. Every penny counts during unemployment. So that is the ads that you're hearing. Those are my two little bitty updates that I wanted to give at the top of this episode before we jump in. But also before we jump in, I hope that you all follow TikTok drama as much as I do. Literally, when there is TikTok drama going on, like I am looking at every single video about that drama. And if you are on TikTok and infused in that world, you would know about Pajamagate. And right before this episode, I explained Pajamagate to Olivia. I'm not going to explain the whole thing here because it is literally like such a long lore and tale, but just go look up for the memes on TikTok if you want to know the ins and outs of the drama. But prior to this episode, we started looking up. We are big fans of Skims. You love a Skims pajama.
I do love the Skims pajamas, yeah. Skims and Aloe are like my two top faves. Yeah, of like comfy clothes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they are on the expensive-er side. However, I think you're getting the quality for those PJs.
Yeah, definitely.
And we were looking up, what did you say the Skims pajamas were made out of?
Micro model.
And what you said, it's
primarily
like a form of rayon.
Yeah, it's like a higher quality rayon. So a lot of modern clothes are made of plastic, basically. Polyester, rayon, and then this thing micro model.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like a more, I don't know, saying it's more durable, it's more breathable, it's like less prone to like shrinking in the wash. Mm-hmm. Something they said on their For the Mems website was like, be careful, this will shrink. Like,
shut the fuck up. You cannot sell $98 pajamas and then give a disclaimer under it and say, beware, these will shrink.
Yeah, they do. And unlike 2 out of the 4 pajama sets. They're like, yeah, it says that because like they're all over prints, which means they just printed the pattern over the entire piece of clothing instead of like individual
embedding
parts,
it in.
Yeah, I guess so. So it's more prone to probably bleeding, like ink coming off
Yeah.
and shrinking. But rayon in general is prone to shrinking because it's plastic, right? So you know when you like heat up plastic, it kind of shrivels.
Right.
So that's why.
Right. And if you're going to put those in the dryer.
Exactly.
I wonder if they have like a tag that says don't dry.
They maybe do. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't see that. But they said like it will like be careful of shrinkage. That's what they said.
Okay. Like, I don't want to be a woman hater. Like, I don't want to be a woman hater. Like, I want to support women, and I don't want to bring these women down because I bet they're like already feeling enough heat around these fucking pajamas. However, I just bought an $80 pajamas from Skims. I got these adorable, I'll put a picture somewhere on the screen and I will link them in the description. I got these adorable gingerbread pajamas from Skims. I love Skims pajamas. I have bought I don't know if they're overpriced. I have bought expensive pajamas from Skims. Like,
well, these were cheaper than they usually are. Usually they're like 120,
yes.
right? And these were 80.
Yeah. So
which is cheaper than the For the Mems original price of
yes.
like 98.
Yes. Wait, say that again because I kept interrupting you. Say that again. Say that again.
So the most Skims pajamas, right, are like more like 120. But these, the gingerbread ones you got, were like only what, 86 or something?
They were 80.
80, okay. So which is a lot cheaper. And then the For the Mems, they lowered the price, but the original price was like 98
right.
or something. So it was more expensive than a really high quality Skims PJ.
I know, which is crazy.
It's wild, yeah.
Because I was like, you know, when all of this talk came out about pajamas, like when I first got Skims pajamas, I got 3 sets, and I'm gonna embarrass myself here. It was a different time. I got each set for $120. However, I got those nearly 4 or 5 years ago. They are in great condition. However, I do think Skims has, what is the word, reformatted?
Yeah,
redone
their sizing and their measurements, kind of.
Not even the sizing, but like something that we noticed was last Valentine's Day, Olivia got us a matching pair of Skims pajamas. They're so cute. They have little cherries on them. And I literally have to wash these pajamas every fucking 2 days because
you live in them.
Yeah, and the band is just so much softer versus the ones I got 4 to 5 years ago. The band is so much tighter and they're the same size. Also, the ones from 4 to 5 years ago are so much longer. Like literally, there's like at least a couple of inches past my foot versus the ones that you got last year and then the gingerbread ones I just got, which I feel like were both well worth the money because I do live in my Skims pajamas. Like
you really do.
If I am not leaving the house, my Skims pajamas are staying on.
Yeah.
Like I will just sit there all day, braless, in my granny panties with my Skims pajamas on. However, yeah, you're right. Those ones that I just bought were a
little cheaper.
Were almost $20 less than the original price and were better quality. I don't know why I brought this up on the podcast. I just love when you like talk TikTok drama with me, but I want to hear your guys' opinion. So you definitely have to like DM me. I'll put a little like message thing up on Instagram because I just think this is so interesting. And I love the like ins and outs of everybody just like totally exposing them for just like trying to get a quick buck.
It's hard to be a small business on TikTok. Yeah, a lot of small businesses get a lot of flack. I feel like they're constantly under fire for one thing or another, like customer interactions. Because they're so public on TikTok, as soon as like one thing goes down with a customer, the customer puts it on TikTok and then it blows up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's just the world we live in today is like, especially influencers. I think it's very different. Like, you know, Kim Kardashian is behind this huge like wall that even if like somebody were to come out with a bad review, like it just doesn't
matter.
Yeah, it doesn't affect her like it affects these influencers because they've built their online audience. And I think especially as somebody who like worked for a fashion brand and we really focused a lot on our audience and had different sectors of audience that we were aiming content at. I think it's really interesting, like these brand people like coming out of the woodwork and making TikToks about how like they just didn't make a product for their audience. They made the product. They want to be an aspirational company that can charge $98 for pajamas, but they just aren't that.
They're not there yet.
And their audience isn't that. That's not what their audience is coming to them for and looking toward.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
I love dissecting this stuff. Like, I just think it's so fun. But go get Skims pajamas. Like, and this, not sponsored, not anything, but like, if you're gonna spend $98, $80 on pajamas, like, you might as well get quality ones. And we've had really great success with the Skims pajamas. I know that people also like Eberjay. And also, you do not need $98 pajamas. I don't want to say that is normal. It is a luxury. Like, I love to splurge on Skims. Again, like, when I have money, when I'm like, I want to give myself a little treat. I quit my job. I needed something to make me happy. Those were the gingerbread pajamas. You know, I think it's great to spend, but like, you do, like, for the longest time, I wore just like my dad's old t-shirts to bed.
Yeah, I still do that.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. I feel like the only reason I started wearing matching pajama sets was because it kind of helped with my mental health.
Well, it's fun. It's like a form of self-care.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're dressing up a little with like intention to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's cozy.
Yeah, I feel like it just, it made me feel better when I was in a dark time.
Yeah.
It made me feel, especially like when I was like home and going through like my depressive episode, like it kind of felt like an outfit if I put on matching pajamas.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, compared to like underwear and an oversized t-shirt, it is an outfit.
Yeah.
Like, it's something you can answer the door in. It's something you
yeah.
could, you know, so yeah, you're a little more put together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's Pajamagate. Again, just go on TikTok if you want to hear the whole freaking thing. Like, I just think it's so fucking interesting and everything. But we're now going to slide on past that, and we're going to move into our clueless moments. We wanted to talk about some of our clueless moments when it comes to relationships, because you guys were so open and vulnerable with us. So we wanted to be open and vulnerable with you. But I think you should share yours first, because it's a bit more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You told me that this would be a good one this morning when we were watching Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
I'll catch episodes here and there as you're watching them.
Yeah.
But there was the episode where Rory found out that Logan had been had slept with other people while they were on a break, and she was so mad at him, like,
yeah.
Oh, we weren't broken up.
Right.
Like, he's saying, like, we were broken up. Like, I wasn't cheating on you because we were broken up. And she's like, we never said 100% that we were broken up. We were on a break.
Right.
Like, you have to say that to a person when you're going to break up with them. And then she is like getting up to leave, and she's like, don't be home at this time so I can get my stuff. And she leaves. And I'm like, so did you break up with him? Is that a breakup? Because she just did exactly what she said. What she said you weren't supposed to do. Hypocrite. So I'm like, but then, you know, they didn't end up breaking up, and nobody cheated on anybody, you know, because I think that would have been really interesting if after she had gone to that bar and hooked up with that guy.
So Rory goes to the like college bar, and she sees Doyle there, and they're both like drinking their sorrows about their relationships away. And I couldn't remember. I was like, oh my God, do they sleep together?
Well, I feel like that would have been like an interesting storyline, because then it's like, oh, she just turned around and did exactly what she's mad at Logan for doing.
Yeah.
You know, they're on a break. It's not 100% sure. No one had said we're broken up now. And then she turns around and, you know, has rebound sex, basically. Because that's what it sounded like he was doing at the time.
Right.
You know, it was rebound sex.
Right. And I think, and I get it, because like I've been in Rory's position where you go on a break with somebody or you break up with somebody and they, you know, turn around and their coping mechanism is sleeping with other people or dating or like whatever it is. And I am not the person, like, I don't cope that way personally. However, other people do. And so I think when you don't cope that way, it's hard to be like, did I mean anything to you? Mm-hmm. Like, why would you turn around and do this to me? However, everybody has different coping skills. And I think obviously, like Logan was explaining to her, those things didn't mean anything. He was just caught up in his own feelings.
Right. And he had interpreted their fight or their temporary break as a permanent breakup.
Right.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. So, God, I'm trying to remember what happened and why they broke up. Oh, God, I forget. I literally, you guys, I watched like probably 4 or 5 episodes of Gilmore Girls a day. Like, I'm like,
I think what should have happened ideally in an ideal world is when they got back together, he should have told her like, hey, I slept around with some other people, just so you're aware.
100%.
You know?
100%. Yeah.
Because that would have prevented the whole like embarrassing moment of that Rory, because I think she felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
Around with the bridesmaids,
Yeah,
talking about fucking her boyfriend.
Yeah, if you haven't watched if you haven't watched Gilmore Girls, like Rory finds out that Logan slept with other people. Like there's this scene where all the bridesmaids are talking about how they were hooking up with Logan like during the time that they were on a break, and she's like, obviously embarrassed.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable and embarrassed, and she seems, and that's why I think she was hurt by it.
Right. So let's clear up this Clueless moment for a second. Do you believe, because I think we've seen people that go through breakups or take a break and they choose to hook up with people and then they get back together with their original partner. So you're pro say something about it? Yeah,
I mean, I think especially if you re-enter into the relationship, I don't think it's smart to keep secrets in relationships, and that feels like it would be like you'd be tiptoeing around it. Like, oh, what did you do while we were broken up? Like, nothing. Like, oh, I just,
twiddled my fingers and thought
like,
of you.
Like that's, I don't know. Like that feels dishonest to me. So I don't think there's anything wrong with rebound sex. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like rebounding in general. It's a way that people cope.
100%.
And there's nothing wrong with getting back together with an ex if that's the right move, But I think just like don't re-enter the relationship with
dishonesty.
Like a skeleton in the closet kind of thing. Because it's going to come out eventually. Right. I mean, it has to.
That's my thing, is that the truth always finds its way out. It will always find its way out whether you want it to or not. And so I think it's important to just uphold the honesty, even if you're afraid of how your partner will react, because I think that once the trust is broken in a relationship, like there is such low percentage of coming back from that, or for anybody to ever feel secure in the relationship again. Yeah,
it's hard to heal.
Yeah.
Especially like, I think sometimes the truth, the truth can hurt. It can be really painful, but I think the recency, like when you're honest kind of right away up front, it does lessen the blow to an extent. Compared to like if you've been hiding it for months or years.
For sure. But also I think this whole like Logan and Rory thing was super interesting because it like brought up, to me at least, I was like, where the fuck is the communication?
Yeah. I think it's interesting, like the kind of like you said, the hypocrisy. I think that's very common, is for people to expect something from their partner that they don't give themselves to their partner.
Right. So right. So she's like, I'm expecting you. Right, because I didn't do anything, I'm expecting you to do the same. Right. But they didn't even really communicate about where the fuck they were at.
Right.
They just had this blowout fight and then they stopped talking to each other. Yeah. So they both interpreted it completely different ways. Like, like you can't read. That's my biggest thing, is like the whole you can't read my mind thing. And I think that's like so true, and why I try to always be upfront and honest with you, because like in the first 2 years of our relationship, where we had a little bit harder of a time communicating with each other, kind of like Rory, I expected you to like know exactly how I was feeling about things. And that just like
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I mean, at least not consistently enough.
Right.
Yeah. Or like when it really matters.
Yeah. See, guys, this is why you gotta watch Gilmore Girls. It's teaching, it's giving you the lessons that you need to know. Like, it's teaching you things. My Clueless moment is a little bit different. It's about us. Oh my God, it's about us because we're in a relationship. I said that my Clueless moment has to do with my anxiety. And Olivia already like knows this, because there has been many times since we decided that we were going to move in together where I was just like, I would have these spirals of anxiety, and I'd be like, what are we going to do if we don't want to hang out with each other? Like, where are we going to go? Like, what am I going to do if you don't want to hang out with me? And what are you going to do if you don't want to hang out with me? Where, like, what if I just want to be in a bed by myself again? Oh my God, I'm never going to have my own room again. So I have these anxiety spirals. And I think that is like my clueless moment is like,
how are we going to adjust?
how are we going to adjust to living together?
Yeah.
And how do two people in a romantic relationship adjust to living together? Because it's so different from living with a friend and everything. There's just we have such an, obviously like an intimate connection, like a deeper connection than I have with one of my friends. And so I think I am not anxious or worried about us moving in together. I think we've cultivated a space where we can communicate with each other. However, because I have a generalized anxiety disorder, like I'm just like, oh God, like how are we gonna figure it out? And I know it's just like, we got to figure it out. We got to go through the steps.
I mean, I think it makes sense because you are the only girl in your family. You've always had your own room. You've always had your own space. You've never really had to share with someone. My sister and I shared a room up until like, I don't know, I was probably 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So I'm.
Do you want to know a secret?
What?
I hate sharing.
I know you do, babe.
I hate sharing, you guys. Like I'm the worst. Like I was one of those girls, like when people ask to borrow my things, like it gives me anxiety. Like I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like what if you don't give it back? What if it's damaged? What if it's this? Like
and I think it's okay to have some things that are yours,
sure,
that are personal and that I'm not just going to like pick up without asking necessarily. But I think a lot of things will kind of, when you are with a person and you're progressing through the steps of a romantic relationship, your lives get really tangled up together.
I know. I'm interested to see what our lives will look like. I think we were doing this card game last night and it asked us like, what stage of your relationship do you guys think you're in? And I said, we're on the precipice.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we are in this like waiting, this holding area because we think we found a place in the city, knock on wood, like, please God, please. Yeah, knock on that wood. And it's a bit of a process to like have it figured out and everything. And I'm just like, it's so close. It's so close. Like we are so close. And I'm just like, I want to pull it like closer in because I just feel like in this holding area on this precipice of the next chapter of our relationship. And I want to start building our life together. And so I think sometimes my anxiety like will recognize that we're in this unknown area and it's like, oh God, like how are you going to adjust to this and whatever. However, we've spent 4 years together. I'm like almost, obviously we can't know everything about living together. And I think I know a lot of things about how you function. And like, we've personally had like conversations together about like, I'm a little bit more needy. And that like, I'm going to have to like let Olivia get their space and also like let me have my space. And, I think we've been doing a pretty good job so far at navigating it. It was hard at the beginning when we started looking for apartments, like we said a couple episodes ago. But yeah, I wanted to like bring that clueless moment up again because I had a friend as well that I said to her, I was like, God, like I started getting all this anxiety about never having my own room again. And she was like, no, Sarah, like I get that. Like when I moved in with my partner, I was like, holy shit, like I don't have my own bed. But then she said, luckily you have a mother that loves you. And if you ever really need like a night to yourself, like you just go home. Let's get into this month's Clueless column. Again, we're talking all about relationships and things like that. So the first question for us, babe, is why do I keep dating emotionally avoidant men? Now, I wrote out a little bit of an answer to this one because I want to see if I'm becoming a therapist without ever studying it. I'm trying. My mom is also a therapist like Olivia. And so like, I feel like I get a lot of things from you guys about like how you interact with patients. So I want to know if I'm doing the same. Okay, ready? So I think that you keep dating emotionally avoidant men because there is less risk in dating an emotionally avoidant man. They're like, so because he is avoidant and not sharing his feelings and stuff like that, you don't have to go there either. Because if he were being open and honest and vulnerable, you'd probably fall harder and your feelings would get more involved. And therefore, there's more at risk for you. There's more to lose there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that tracks. I mean, I think my first kind of thought is it you that's only seeking out avoidant men, or is it just that the majority of men in our country at this moment are emotionally avoidant because they don't learn?
Babe.
And so it's hard to find emotionally available men in your pool of fish,
Say that louder for the people in the back. That was so good.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's a you thing or if it's just your options are unfortunately limited. And maybe the real question is, how do you handle that?
When your options are limited.
When all of your options are emotionally avoidant, what do you do about that? How do you handle it?
That's a really great question.
But I think what you said has value too. I think sometimes we do seek out relationships that we know where it's like self-sabotaging essentially.
Yeah.
To keep ourselves safe. Because we know what to expect when people are unavailable.
Yeah. That's two really good routes, because I have to say, especially after everything with like the election and everything, and, hearing a few men's opinions that I did not agree with, I just feel like men, they don't think about anything but themselves.
Well, it's unfortunate. People talk about like the male loneliness epidemic, and I think it is. I think it really is.
Wait, what
true.
is that?
It's that men don't have relationships. They don't have close friends that they can talk to, and now women don't want to date them.
Period. We're like, fuck.
And so we traditionally men rely on women as like an emotional support. Their mother and then eventually their wife, right, is the only person that they can cry in front of, the only person that they can hug or touch. Not even sexually, but just like sensual, like physically.
Yeah, hold hands,
exactly,
cuddle.
yeah. And now that, women aren't really putting up with a lot of people's shit anymore, with a lot of men's shit anymore necessarily, it's hard, it's a lot harder for men to find that kind of connection. They don't have that within their friends, if they even have friends,
Yeah.
And so it's, the male loneliness epidemic.
Okay, I see. So let's say it's okay. Let's give option A and B. So if it's A and this person is not wanting to, find maybe a more emotionally available man because they're trying to self-sabotage, how can you work through the self-sabotage or recognize that you're self-sabotaging?
I mean, okay, so a very common catchphrase of CBT, right, cognitive behavioral therapy, is catch it, check it, change it.
Oh, with like This is what I do with anxious thoughts.
Exactly. So when you notice that you're, responding to a like lack of care, lack of commitment, lack of emotional availability, and you're leaning towards that, say, catch it, notice yourself doing it, and say like, what's going on? What am I feeling? What am I looking for from this person? And do I really want that? I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big question in all of this. Yeah. It's like, do I want this guy to actually give me more? Like I am seeking.
Yeah. Like what are you looking for out of this interaction, this relationship? And if you're looking for sex, then emotional availability doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking for emotional availability, you're not going to find that in an emotionally unavailable person.
Right. So if you are seeking emotional availability and let's say you keep getting these emotionally avoidant men, so is that like, hey, like recognizing that and then saying like, I'm not going to get involved myself with this person and I'm going to move on and continue to like filter through and try and find that guy that gives me that emotional availability that I'm looking for.
Yeah, ultimately. I mean, I guess it comes down to not settling or not recognizing that that's not what you want. Or I think sometimes it is, and that goes back to people self-sabotaging.
Right.
And so you need to sort of address that as, what am I protecting myself from? You know, what am I trying to avoid or keep myself safe from?
Yeah.
You know, is it rejection? Is it abandonment?
Yeah. Because this is, not to make it about me, but it reminds me of when those like first 2 years where I would never tell you how I actually felt about something. And I think one, I had gotten in a habit of doing that from my prior relationship and had to realize that that was no longer protecting or serving me. But I think number two was the abandonment factor, was like I was terrified that if I told you how I actually felt about things, that you were going to up and leave me and that I would ruin our relationship by being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, the fear of abandonment or fear of rejection is at the root of a lot of
I'm like, why do I want to cry right now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're like in therapy.
I mean, abandonment and rejection are, I would say, the two biggest, like most innate human fears.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, we are social creatures. We thrive and survive with community.
Yeah.
And so the idea of being cast out or like, you know, abandoned to fend for ourselves is it sends off like survival threats.
Yeah.
You know, it feels very life threatening.
Like fight or flight.
Exactly. So it's, and then we can, of course, go into like attachment style thing and how and then it goes back to your parents fucking you up. And
no, literally, like, it's so funny because my mom will always say, like, we have to, like, guys, just erase everything you think you know about attachment and go to an actual doctor. Do not learn your attachment style on TikTok. Like, please, for God's sake. My mom works with women in their 20s and like she is constantly coming home and saying like, what the fuck is TikTok saying about anxious attachment style? Because it's not right. Like everybody and their mother thinks that they have anxious attachment style. Like, and it's just not true. So if you really want to know your attachment style, like go to somebody, like please do not get it from TikTok. Like, you know, but then option B, there's just a lot more
right. I think that's like the availability.
Yeah,
like, there's just not a lot of options.
There's not a lot of emotionally available men right now,
unfortunately,
which is sad.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I mean, I think, that's not like a you problem to solve. That's like a culture problem, and I don't think it's going to be solved anytime soon. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the next one. I really liked that.
Everybody suffers from the patriarchy, including men.
Period. Ugh.
Mic drop.
Men fucking suck. No, they don't. They don't.
Not what I'm saying.
No. I'm not going to be a man hater either. I just think I recognize too, like even looking at my own brothers, my own dad, my cousins, like I grew up as the only woman in my like of the kids and cousins in my family, and I think it's real that men are they don't emote, and I think that was
except anger. That's the only safe emotion that they're allowed to express
is anger. And I think that was another huge reason, like with me coming out as bisexual, was just like every time I was with a guy, I felt so emotionally disconnected from them. I felt like I had they did not understand me. I did not understand them. Like there was just like it was so on the surface. It was so sexually driven. And so now that we have like a very big emotional, like I'm like none of those really like that. Those people didn't even know who the fuck I was. Like I'm not gonna get into it, but like like I just it's kind of crazy to see. And I know something for me when I'm thinking and speaking about my sexuality, and people are like, oh, like. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm like sexually attracted to men, but like emotionally, like there's nothing there. It's like somebody's knocking, no one's home. Like, you know? Okay, let's move forward. I went on an amazing date last week. Good for you.
Good for you.
Like we talked for hours, laughed a ton, and they even texted me afterwards to say they had a great time. Well, that's good. But now it's been a week and I haven't heard anything since. I don't want to double text and seem desperate, but I also really liked them. Should I reach out or do I just let it go?
Double text.
I was going to say the same thing, reach out.
Yeah.
I hate the texting games, you guys. I hate the texting games. But I think I can only say I hate the texting games because you put those texting games to rest for me.
I don't play the texting games.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It is. It's so stupid.
Like, I'm not trying to mind read. Again, it comes back to you can't read the other person's mind. I'm not going to pretend to make up this whole story about why you haven't texted me back. I'm just going to say, like, hey, are we, you know?
So yeah, I think if they texted you back after the date saying they had an amazing time, obviously their intentions were true and they said they had a good time. And like, look, I don't know much about like dating because we've been in a relationship since I was 22 years old. However, what I do think, especially in the early stages, like from watching my friends go through it, is that yes, you had an amazing date, but like maybe at this point, like you're not like the top priority and stuff. And so that person still has a life and things going on. And I know that like sometimes when I'm anxious, I don't answer text messages because they bring up anxious feelings or possible rejection or whatever. So yeah, maybe that person is scared about double texting themselves because they just texted you that they just had that they had a great time. So yeah, why not reach out? Because yeah, the worst thing that could happen is a no. And I'm thinking about Alana Dunn. She has an amazing podcast called Seeing Other People, which is a dating podcast. And I remember she spoke about how her now husband, they broke the dating rules. He had reached out to her on a dating app and she didn't answer. She just like let it go. And then he double texted her a week later and said, hey, like I'd love to get to know you or something, whatever he said.
Sure.
And now they're married, So not saying that you're going to marry this person, but like I would just go for it.
Yeah. I mean, if you like them, I feel like there's literally nothing really. You either let it go and don't talk to them, right? Ever again, basically, because you abandon the relationship, whatever. Or you text and they don't respond and you're in the same place that you were if you hadn't texted.
Exactly.
Or you text and they do respond and then you go on another date and it's a lot of fun and who knows
where you go from there. Yeah. Take the risk.
I think so.
100% take the risk. Okay. I chose this question because it helps me feel like I'm doing something right on this podcast. It says, I've recently started exploring my sexuality and coming out to some close friends.
Good for you.
No, seriously, good for you. Like, it's really fucking scary.
It is hard.
I texted my friends about Olivia.
Especially now, like in the world we're living in. Like, good for you. That's fantastic.
I might be, I think I might be bisexual or pansexual because I've dated men before. But sometimes I wonder if that was just me following heteronormative expectations. The thing is, I have no idea where to start when it comes to exploring relationships with women. I've never dated or been with a woman before, and I'm terrified of messing it up or doing something wrong. I feel kind of stuck and unsure about how to take the next step. Okay, so I like smiled and laughed when you said messing it up because like we're 4 years into our relationship and I know you don't identify as a woman. But I always feel like I'm not doing things right sexually. And I don't think, I like, lately I've been feeling better because we've been communicating about it. But I think that, I don't know, I'm curious to get your opinion on this. Like, because there is this like lack of representation in media and like in sex ed classes about how to have sex with like the same, what is it? Anatomy. There we go. There's just like more of a lack of education.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't believe the stereotypes. You always see the like jokes about lesbians in media where it's like I came 10 times last night. We went for 17 hours. Like we're about to go for another, like,
no, seriously. Like guys, like I'm like Olivia's saying that right now. And I'm like, I literally, like I succumb to those expectations. Like, yeah, it's so common that in the woman loving woman community, it's like, we fuck for 24 hours. I've never came like this in my life. I'm just squirting all over the bedroom. And then when that doesn't happen, it's like
squirting all over the bedroom.
It's like, I'm not queer. What have I done wrong?
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Or I'm bad at sex or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just not true. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure some people out there are having sex for 24 hours and good for you, but it's not everybody. I'd say the majority of people don't really want that, maybe. I also think, I don't know, think about when, like, if you've had sex with a man, like the first time you did that, like, did you really know what was going on? Did you really know what to do? Like, not really.
And I'm thinking maybe in this moment, like maybe when you first have sex with a man, you feel more confident about it because what our society is saying, and our society is saying that kind of sex is right. You don't need to feel any shame or embarrassment about it. But I know for me personally, when we, started doing things, I'm not going to expose us. When we first started getting together, like I was having a lot of trouble of feeling okay with what I was doing, not because of you or because of anything, but because of, just growing up in an environment where this wasn't okay or it wasn't talked about or whatever.
Well, you had a lot of trouble seeing our sex as sex.
Yes.
For a while.
Yeah. I had
without like a penis being involved.
Yeah. I had trouble I had trouble feeling like our sex was valid because there wasn't a penis involved. And so I think for a while it was like there was something missing. And that made me spiral anxiety wise. Of course, like it made me spiral about my sexuality. But now years later, I sort of realized that the man was taking up so much of the space and the air in my past sexual relationships. Like it like, sure, there were parts and sections that maybe focused on me, but it was never really about me and my pleasure. Like I think it always came back to the guy, the insertion. Oh my God. I hope my parents aren't listening to it. The penetration part always came at the end, and like,
and then it's over.
And then it's over because they're done, right? And so I think when we started having sex, like I was like, wait, what? This like the spotlight is on me. Like I was like, I can't. Like I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I think it just felt like, like my experience was like supposed to be a part of this, and I was like, oh wait, I don't know what to do with myself. And now years later, like I don't struggle with that at all personally. Like I've been able to get over that hump. And like, I guess I say all of this to say like, to give yourself grace in the process, because I think I gave myself a lot of anxiety and beat myself up a lot because of all of these thoughts that I was having when, I think it's only normal that as you're coming out and exploring yourself, you think about a lot of things and you're confronted with a lot of things that when you were keeping it inside, you didn't have to face. I guess like, I feel like you are good with like the mindset of like going up to people and interacting. Like, do you have any advice around that?
Meet people, try things, communicate. I think if you find someone you want to have sex with and they want to have sex with you, like tell them what you want. If you don't know what you want, look in the mirror and try things and figure out what you want, what you like, what you don't like.
And I feel like the quote unquote right person, but I just think like there are people out there that are empathetic and understanding, and when you say like, hey, I'm new to this, like they won't be turned off by it and they won't be put off by it. There are kind people in this world that I think will, regardless if this is like like a dating thing or a one night stand sort of thing.
You also like don't have to tell people.
Oh,
that
that's
it's
true.
your first time or that you're not experienced.
Fake it until you make it.
You don't have to. You can just you can leave the situation and they can just in their head think you're bad at sex, and that's you don't need to know. They don't need to know why.
Oh,
like
that's a great piece of advice.
you know, like just pretend that that you've fucked plenty of people or the women, you know,
and go for it.
and and then you kind of learn, I guess, as you go.
Yeah.
I mean, the more you do something, the better you get at it, I think.
Yeah.
But then also, you know, every individual is different and likes different things and is going to enjoy or not enjoy different things. And so it's always kind of a different situation depending on who you're with.
Yeah. I think there's no right way to have sex. We always
really
talk
not.
about that because I always bring up that I feel like I'm not doing things right or I'm not good at this or that. And, you know,
I guess I'm like, did you have fun? Did I have fun? Great. Like that's it.
all
That's all that really matters.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, but I think what you opened this up with is so right. Is that like I think a lot of the stereotypes about what woman loving woman queer sex is supposed to be like can get in the way and can really make you feel like bad about yourself if that is not how your sex is. And like like you said, let's be honest, like what 5%, 10%, let's 20% like of people are having sex like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have an
Yeah.
exact statistic, but yeah, I mean, and I think within the lesbian community, the women loving women community, there can also be a lot of like sexual kind of bragging almost. And like, or like, yeah, we, you know, use crazy toys and like, I don't know. And that, you know, it's not necessarily.
It's probably projecting.
Everything's projecting.
Everybody's projecting, you guys. Like just remember that. But congratulations on coming out. Like that's a really big deal.
And if you're not sure about your label, don't stress about it. Read the Lesbian MasterDoc.
Period.
We'll put a link.
Well, I'll put a link. Olivia will send me a link and I'll put the Lesbian MasterDoc link in the description.
Because it's all about like, you know, understanding your compulsory heterosexuality and stuff.
Yeah, because let me tell you, like that still plays a role to me every single day. It's taken a lot of therapy to like undo it and to see the world in a different place. But let me tell you, when you get further into it and see the world in a different place, like talking about men, like I feel like men are so like not a part of my life. Like when I walk into a room that is majority men, I'm like,
it's the 4B movement.
Exactly. I'm just like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh my God. And honestly, something that I've realized about myself, like, because I went to like a more straight bar at the beginning of September. And I remember I used to walk into straight bars, even at the beginning of our relationship. And I was like, what do all of these men in this room think about me? What do they think about how I look, about the way I'm behaving, etc.? Now I walk into a straight bar or a predominantly male room and I could give literally less of a fuck about what they think about me, about what I'm wearing, about my weight, etc. But literally for so many years of my life, all through college, I'd walk into like a frat party, whatever. Do these guys think I'm hot? Do they care about the way that I look? Like whatever. So hopefully just know that that's coming for you and it's really great. All right, we have reached our final submission and let me tell you guys, this one is good. This one is tea and I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, we got to help this person. We got to help them through. Okay, so this one says, okay, I feel horrible even saying this, but I think I might have a crush on one of my partner's friends. They're just really funny and charming, and I catch myself thinking about them way more than I should. I love my partner, and I don't want to mess up what we have, but I feel so guilty about these feelings. What do I do with this? Is this normal? So do you want to know my first thought with this?
Yeah.
My first thought is, are your feelings strong enough to break up what you currently have? You know?
Yeah.
Like, is what you're feeling toward this person strong enough, deep enough, like even if they know it or not, to say goodbye to your other relationship?
Yeah.
However, I also think not like in the conversation of is this normal? Like I do think that cheating is a thing. Not saying that you're going to cheat or will cheat, whatever. Cheating is a thing. So we obviously know that people get into relationships and then are able to form feelings, emotions, sexual desires for other people. However, I think that sometimes people also get into this grass is greener on the other side thing where it's like, you know, I am unfulfilled in what I have, so I'm looking outward.
Yeah, I think that was my first thought. It's like, what are you seeing in the friend that you don't see in your partner that you want from your partner? Or like what feels like it's missing in your current relationship that is turning your head, kind of.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a question of, can you get that from your current partner? Is that something you can communicate that you want, and that, you know, or can you not?
Yeah.
And then it's like, do you need that thing or do you not need that?
Yeah.
That's a tough one though, especially a friend, you know, because that can really blow up a whole circle, like kind of dynamic,
Right.
you know, because then like
Especially
the friend,
it's their partner's
yeah,
friend.
and so it's like, okay, then you're gonna, you know, you might not, the friend might not even be comfortable going with you,
right?
Because
I guess
they're your partner's friend.
I
Like,
wonder if
it's a little messy.
Yeah, if you want to give a follow up, like, have you already made relations with the other person, or
does the person know? Like, did they like you too?
Right?
Like, is there back and forth, or are you just kind of charmed by them?
Yeah. Because I think like it's normal for people in relationships to be charmed by other people, to
Sure.
like, you know, to think, oh, this person's attractive, or oh,
Sure.
they're funny.
Yeah.
But obviously you're experiencing feelings that are making you question your own relationship, which I haven't experienced that. Where it's like, you know, like obviously like I can walk down the street and be like, oh, this person's attractive. Like we were literally we were watching James Charles like sing his new song by the campfire, and I turned to Olivia and I said, the guy that's playing the violin, he's cute.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna leave you for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's usually a difference between a crush that is like pulling you away from your current partner, and just like a passing like acknowledgement of, I don't know, the fantasy sort of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's important.
Yeah. And if it's more of like a serious crush, then yeah, I would say, what are you lacking in your current relationship that's in allowing you to sort of turn your head? And can you get that in your current relationship?
Yeah, that's a great piece
because
of advice.
maybe they feel like, you know, their current relationship is missing the funniness or whatever kind of things that they said about.
They said that they were really funny and charming.
Right. So yeah. So maybe like you're missing, like what you're not getting something in your current partner, you know, you're not like feeling wooed by them or romanced by them, which can happen, I think, in long-term relationships.
Yeah.
You can become very, I don't know, desexualized or like kind of not super intimate outside of sex, like just sort of, yeah, not romantic, I guess.
Yeah, like
more like roommates.
Yeah, we started, you know, I love couple card games. Like I think that they should be a cornerstone of every relationship, because I think that we've been in a relationship for a long time. You've been in a relationship for a long time. And yeah, when life gets hard and stressful, like for example, like you guys know, like I quit my job, I moved, like things have been really fucking stressful for me. And you know, I think that can contribute to our relationship. We, you know, can get in very much into like, all right, like let's meet our basic needs. Let's, you know, go to bed. But then when I found these cards on the TikTok shop, and I just thought they were cute, so I ordered them and they were pretty cheap. But when the last like couple times we've seen each other, we started doing these cards again. And I think like it just reminds me why I love them, because they open up conversations and funny moments and just like things that like if you're not thinking about these like questions, they wouldn't come up. Like the other day we answered this question about what's it called, about like what we would do if like everything in the world stopped, like everything in the world stopped and it was just us. We had 24 hours to basically do whatever we wanted. And
That was fun.
It was just so funny. We were like, yeah, like we're gonna go like
First stop, rob a bank.
rob a bank, get a bunch of money, and then I was like, okay, yeah, and then we gotta like steal a Porsche because I've always wanted a Porsche, and like we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to your old place of work and have them like shout.
We're gonna pull your boss's pants down. Like it was just like a day of crime.
Like it was just so funny, and so right, and like that brought up like we were like laughing and giggling, right, and like you know, like sure, if we went out to dinner, we could still have like a fun, but like it just brought up something new and different, you know.
Yeah.
So
I like those card games too.
yeah, I love card games. Like I love them. I think they're so great, especially for communication in romantic relationships. As somebody that has struggled with communication, I just think it opens up this comfortable space.
Absolutely, yeah. It paves the way for like more intimacy and more emotional connection.
100%.
Because the questions will cause you to answer them, tell a story, and then the story triggers something else, and you go down another path, or the person you're playing with will think of something. It just really facilitates kind of meaningful conversation.
Right. And for sure, that one was like a funny one. Like this one, they have two sides. That one was like a silly one. And then they also have sides that are thoughtful and deep. And yeah, and I think again, like they just pose questions that I wouldn't think about, but yeah, when I have you answer it, like it just lets me into you more. So this has gotten off topic from like what our help was to you, but yeah, like you said, I think
examine your relationship. Like, what are you missing that's leaving you unsatisfied?
Yeah. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that if you are like thinking about stepping out from your relationship, just break up with the person before you do anything.
Cheating's not very nice.
Cheating is not, I don't condone cheating. I won't judge you if you do it, but I just think that it's better to close the chapter before you step out. And it's okay for you to, if you're like, hey, this I am not, this is the thing I'm not getting from my relationship, and I don't think I can get it, or I don't think I want it from this person, and you decide to leave them. That is totally fine. Like you are free will to do that. And I just think like be a good person, you know? And thank you for trusting us with that information. Like
good luck. That's a sticky situation.
That is a sticky situation. I would not want to be in your position. Like I'm just gonna say that. Yeah, that's like that's really tough. But that's all of our submissions that we have. Thank you guys so much for all of these really great and vulnerable like moments, and for trusting us with your clueless moments. I really enjoyed picking these out and like getting to talk with them, get to talk about them with you. I think again, you're just like so intelligent and smart. And I would have never thought of like those, like Olivia gave the good responses. Like I just gave like the funny, fluffy. It's like you had such good advice.
You had good perspective too.
Oh, thanks.
Don't discount yourself.
Anyways, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. And again, thank you so much for all of your submissions. We will be doing this again in December. I think that'll be the last episode before the holidays. And our next one is going to be all about family and like holidays, or just like things that center around the holidays. So start thinking about your clueless moments for that. And I also think that I'm going to put up a Google form so that like a lot of these were like DM'd to me in like separate things, or they were like put in a lot of different like question submissions in Instagram. So I think it'll be easier if I make like a form for you guys so you can write out all the I love details. Like I love the itty bit, like it helps us get you to the best advice. So I will put that up for next month. However, in the meantime, do not forget to follow the Completely Clueless podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Completely Clueless Pod. Also, because I'm on a new platform, this podcast is officially available anywhere you can get your podcast. That's right, like iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, like it is everywhere now. And if it isn't, let me know, because then I need to make sure I'm doing something right in this platform, but it should be available everywhere. I put the video up on Spotify and YouTube, so go subscribe on YouTube too. And you can follow me and my personal journey at Sarah Alice Liddy on TikTok and Instagram. Do not follow Olivia, even if you see their like, what is it called? Tag username.
I'll block you.
Olivia will block you. Olivia doesn't want to be famous. So just like leave them alone.
Leave me alone, please.
Give all of your following energy to me. Thank you guys so much for listening again. Have a terrific Tuesday, a wonderful week, and don't forget to be
motherfucking clueless.
That's right, baby. All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.